There was a time when nearly 1 out of every 3 mobile phones on Earth carried the Nokia logo. In airports, on construction sites, in boardrooms, and in the hands of teenagers sending their first text messages, Nokia wasn't just present, it was dominant. And yet, the story of this telecommunications giant does not begin with silicon chips or satellites. It begins with trees. In 1865, a Finnish engineer named Fredrik Idesam established a paper mill in southern Finland, taking advantage of the country's vast forests and powerful river systems. Industrial Europe was hungry for paper, and Finland had an abundance of raw material. A few years later, Idestam opened a second mill near the town of Nokia, eventually naming the company after the area. At this point, there was nothing to suggest this regional paper producer would one day shape global communication. But Finland itself was a nation built on adaptation. Positioned between Western Europe and the Soviet Union, it was forced to industrialize quickly and think strategically. That mentality would eventually define Nokia. By the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Nokia had expanded beyond paper into electricity generation under the leadership of Leo Meckelin, who transformed it into a public company. Meanwhile, 2 other Finnish firms, Finnish Rubber Works and Finnish Cable Works, were emerging. Rubber boots, tires, electrical cables, practical industries for a cold, industrializing country. After World War I, Nokia struggled financially, was acquired by Finnish Rubber Works. Eventually, the 3 companies merged into one diversified industrial conglomerate. For decades, Nokia operated across industries so varied it's almost difficult to reconcile with the modern brand. Televisions, chemicals, plastics, military equipment, gas masks, and power cables. It was everywhere. But buried inside that conglomerate was a small but increasingly important division, telecommunications. In the 1960s, Nokia began producing radio telephones for cars and military use. These weren't personal devices. They were bulky systems integrated into vehicles, but they represented something transformative. Wireless communication was moving beyond emergency services and into everyday infrastructure. By 1978, Finland had achieved nationwide coverage for its car phone network. In a small Nordic country, Nokia had quietly built one of the most advanced wireless systems in the world. They didn't yet know it, but they were laying the foundation for the mobile revolution. In the early 1980s, Nokia launched the Mobura Senator, a 10-kilogram car phone that resembled more of a briefcase than a mobile device. It was impractical by modern standards, but it demonstrated that cellular networks could operate at scale. Then came the Mobura Cityman in 1987, lighter, still expensive, but finally portable. And then something symbolic happened. Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev was photographed using the Cityman during a visit to Helsinki. Almost overnight, the phone became a status symbol. It wasn't just technology anymore, it was prestige, power, modernity. But Nokia's true strategic genius wasn't in handset aesthetics, it was in infrastructure. During the late 1980s, Nokia helped develop GSM, the second generation of cellular technology that replaced analog signals with digital transmission. This transition was monumental. Digital signals enabled secure communication, clearer calls, and most importantly, data. In 1991, the world's first GSM phone call was made in Finland. In 1992, the first SMS text message was sent. It read simply, "Merry Christmas." It seemed trivial at the time. It wasn't. GSM would eventually connect billions of people worldwide, and Nokia was at the center of that ecosystem, building both the networks and the devices that ran on them. Facing financial pressure in the early 1990s, Nokia made a bold decision. It began divesting everything unrelated to telecommunications. Paper mills were sold, rubber production was sold, tires were spun off. One by one, legacy divisions disappeared. Nokia became singularly focused. In 1994, it released the Nokia 2100 series, a simple, durable, affordable device designed for mass adoption. It featured the now iconic Nokia ringtone and the addictive game Snake. Management expected modest success. Instead, they sold over 20 million units. Demand exploded. Western Europe's mobile subscribers jumped from 5 million to 23 million in just 4 years. Nokia restructured its supply chain, localized production, and expanded globally. Between 1996 and 2001, revenue multiplied fivefold. By the early 2000s, Nokia had become the world's largest mobile phone manufacturer, a title it would hold for 14 years. It felt inevitable, unshakable, permanent. And that illusion would prove fatal. In January 2007, Steve Jobs walked onto a stage and announced that Apple was going to reinvent the phone. At Nokia headquarters, the reaction was cautious, but not alarmed. The iPhone lacked 3G. It was expensive. It had no physical keyboard, something executives believed consumers would always demand. But Apple wasn't competing on hardware durability or battery life. It was competing on experience. Multi-touch technology eliminated physical buttons. The interface felt intuitive, almost magical. And then came the App Store, transforming the phone from a communication device into a software platform. Nokia's operating system, Symbian, had been designed for a different era, one focused on efficiency and hardware optimization rather than fluid touch interfaces and developer ecosystems. Internal bureaucracy slowed decision-making. Risk-taking declined. Leadership underestimated the speed of consumer behavior change. The industry shifted rapidly. Touchscreens replaced keypads, apps replaced pre-installed utilities, ecosystems replaced standalone devices. Within a few years, Nokia's global market share collapsed below 5%. Its stock price fell more than 90% from its peak. Eventually, its mobile division was sold to Microsoft. The company that had built the backbone of the modern mobile world had been outpaced by the software revolution it failed to lead. Yet Nokia did not disappear. It returned to telecommunications infrastructure, 5G networks, enterprise systems, and carrier equipment. The brand survived, but the era of Nokia as the world's mobile king was over. And perhaps the lesson is simple but brutal. Technological leadership does not guarantee future dominance. The very success that makes a company powerful can also make it resistant to change. Nokia built the mobile world. It just didn't reinvent it in time. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to The Business Lens. It really helps us keep creating stories like this one. And let us know in the comments what company, empire, or business figure you'd like us to cover next. We read every suggestion, and your idea might be the next deep dive on this channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.